I
It's
agree.
groundless is the bottom line. Reality is groundless. That's the paradox of reality. There's no ground to stand on. Reality is like a giant dictionary where every word points to another word. Oh, you want to know what a word means? It means these words here. But what does that word mean? Ah, it means this over here. But what does that? And there's no ground.
Right.
Every word points to another word.
So, in your opinion, if you break it down, because you were talking about parents and cultural, habituation and all that, if you break it down generations and generations backwards, keep going backwards in time, do you think we were closer to the original design and we got further and further away from it, or are we developing towards something inside of that timeline?
It's cyclical, right? So a lot of people think of like consciousness and higher consciousness as a linear sort of thing,
Hmm.
right? Like, oh, we're down here and we're dumb right now, and then we're evolving and we're getting smarter. And we were this dumb before 10,000 years ago, and now we're getting smarter and we're evolving our consciousness and we're going up to the top. And then once we get there, I don't know if they even get that far in their thought process, but there is no top. What you could think of as the top, as like sort of the peak God consciousness, I would call it, where you are omniscient, you know everything, you can see everything, you are everything. Once if you do get to a state of consciousness like that, you're just at one particular point. It's like there's a circle, right? And so you might be down here at the bottom of the circle, and you think that this is the low point, the beginning where you're starting at, with from your humble origins, and you're starting down here. And as you work your way up towards God consciousness, you're getting there, and then you reach that sort of peak where you have everything, know everything, see everything, understand everything. But then what happens, right? What do you do once you're there? In all seriousness, like what would you do if you had God consciousness and you could know everything, see everything, do everything? Like, what would you do? It's very much like playing a video game on God mode.
Sure.
How long could you play a video game on God mode for, where you have all of the resources you need, all of the weapons, you got all the maps, you know where all the secrets are, anything. Oh, what's the mission objective? Yeah, I can just push a button and I beat the mission. No problem. I'm God, right? Like, there's no adventure, there's no story, there's nothing, there's none of that.
Right.
There's not actually anything to do when you're God, if you think about it. Like, you would think, oh well, God would want to create and do all this. Like, why though? What's he going to gain by creating? Right?
Sure.
Like, there's this giving, but who are you giving to? You're giving to yourself, but you already have everything, so you have to disconnect yourself from the fact that you already know all this, you already have all this, and you want to create a finite experience for yourself. That's what you want to do when you're at the top and you're at that peak. You don't want to stay there at the top of the mountain and just camp out there and live there forever. You don't want to. It would become uncomfortable. It's like a meditation you could do. Pick your favorite position on the couch, your favorite lazy boy chair, where you just sit there, even if you take your favorite drug or whatever, and you sit and you're just blissed out. Eventually, something's going to change and you won't want to do that anymore, right?
Sure.
Even the simplest meditation, just stone cold sober, you probably only sit there for about an hour before you started getting really uncomfortable and you wanted to change or move or do something different. And that's exactly how sort of peak consciousness is. You want the adventure, you want the story, and you want something to be different.
Hmm.
And in order for something to be different, you have to create this sort of story, this narrative that where you're disconnected from your previous memories, and now you've got this adventure. You're disconnected from your powers, right? You have the sort of connection through your own mental connection through your source energy, so that's still there. But for the most part, it sure seems like you're on your own here, and you're on this adventure, and you're trying to figure it out for yourself. It's like
Sure.
one of these best-selling video games where you're there and you start from humble beginnings. You don't have anything, and you got to go out. You got to do simple things. You got to learn and grow, build up your resources, and now you've got this whole storyline. And the only way that things feel better, once you do something or achieve something, is if you have to work for it to get there. That's where all the satisfaction and fulfillment comes from, and that's a big part of why society is suffering so much, is when you have stuff that's handed to you and you don't necessarily have to go through much for it, like wealth gained through vanity.
Hmm.
There's a lot of celebrities, a lot of very wealthy business people out there, like I was one of them, achieving my wildest dreams. Look at me, what I was doing, making plenty of money, hanging out and doing all the stuff that I thought would be amazing in life, but there still was no fulfillment in there. There wasn't the lasting oomph, because it was so much of it was based on instant gratification, and that instant gratification and that sort of self-pleasuring doesn't lead towards more growth and more ongoing fulfillment. It sort of short circuits that whole process. And what you want to do is something sustainable, that you're able to get your joy and your dopamine kicks from and feel good about, but also move forward in the right direction towards what you think is important. It's just this ongoing process where you just one step at a time, keep learning, keep growing. You got to do stuff that makes you feel like you're accomplishing something or fulfilling something. And that's going to involve moving towards what you believe higher consciousness is, essentially. What you believe wisdom and love and growth, acceptance, all of these things are. If you're moving towards those things, you're going to feel good about yourself and you're going to feel fulfilled. Um, when you're laying in bed at night trying to fall asleep, you're not going to feel like you need to have a drink or a tub of ice cream for closure on your day so you feel satisfied about the work that you did. Like, you're already getting those dopamine kicks from that. And a big part of why people aren't experiencing that right now is because we live in a society where there's so much abundance, so much overconsumption, and so much instant gratification. Right? You get this instant gratification, and that gives you a huge dopamine release, and you're just up here, cloud nine. That feels 100 out of 100, right? You're great. You're eating your favorite food, you're drinking your favorite drink, doing your favorite drug or whatever it is, or your favorite instant gratification activity. Well, that's your new baseline now. 100 is now what you want to feel like and are habituated to feeling like every day. And if you don't feel like that tomorrow because you're busy working towards your goals, and achieving your goals feels good, but you might only get a 50 now on this relative scale. Now you get a lot of work done tomorrow. You got 12 hours done, big steps towards your goals. Everything's humming. Your relationships are doing good, and everything is satisfying in life, but you still only feel like you're at a 50. It's like it's almost a letdown compared to how good you felt last night. You see what I'm saying? Everything is relative. But if you weren't indulging in the instant gratification and you weren't getting these 100 kicks every night with your favorite, your favorite pleasure, now your new baseline is going to be whatever your biggest dopamine spike is that you're getting from the day. And what is that from? Well, if you work hard, you work towards your goals, you get what was a 50 is now your biggest dopamine spike, right? Now that's 100. Now you're getting, oh, I had a good satisfying day at work. I had a wonderful dinner with my family in the evening. Got to do a little bit of reading and growth. I got my next day planned out. I feel 100, and I'm going to sleep like a baby tonight.
Right.